Hello, you're listening to Everyday Superpower, a place we can learn about body language, non-verbal communication, and everything in between. Click like, click subscribe. Let's get on with it. Yep. So we're going to be talking about a hip embrace. What does that mean? Well, it definitely includes the hips, right? So a hip embrace is something that happens when young lovers, well, I say young lovers, lovers of all ages, right? I was trying to romanticize it there. So when lovers, potential lovers, hidden lovers, will walk with arms around the hips of the other, forcing their bodies snugly side to side. Well, I find it quite awkward, really. I've ever walked beside somebody whilst they're holding on and holding them tight. It's a bit awkward to walk in it, but people do it. I'm sure, most of us have done that. When hips touch during a hug of any sort, whether it be side to side, front to back, front to front, it signals romantic interest, alright? So this is important when you're watching two people in an embrace or whilst hugging. Yeah, their top side might be touching, they may be connecting, but what's going on with the hips? Are they connecting? Is there any sort of pelvic connection? Because that's significant, right, of a real intimate, sexualized interaction. Do I need to explain why? So, men and women can use the hip embrace to test the level of intimacy that's tolerated between them. So, if you hug someone and you brought your pelvic, don't get me wrong, don't go being a pervert, yeah? You need to be able to read the room first and foremost. I won't jump into this if you're not that good with the opposite sex or the same sex, depending on what you're into, but don't just jump into this, yeah? But you can test the waters by getting closer through whichever means possible, and that can mean hugging an individual and in doing so bringing your hips closer to them. Do they mirror you in doing so? If so, that can gauge a level of interest as to which is present, right? So if the hips, let's say you've just had a date with someone and you're saying goodbye to them, all right? You give them a hug. If your hips press tightly together, there's a high intimacy there, which might be indicative of something that's going to happen further down the line, or something that really wants to happen, it really screaming to happen. The only differentiation between the acts is that you're wearing clothes currently, okay? But if a gap is maintained, especially on their side with the hips away, there's a lack of intimacy and there's potentially a conscious means of doing so. I don't want to get too close, alright? A repellent as opposed to an attraction, yeah? It's a display of intimacy similar to hand holding, okay? More intimate to an extent, depending on how you look at it. But it's not as intimate as kissing, okay? If you want to read the room, you have to be able to assess how natural it feels, whether you've been facing each other from the get-go anyway, because when two of the opposite sex whom are interested in each other, they will face fully frontal, okay? There'll be no body blading of any sorts. Within reason, it depends how intense it is, but later on down the line, especially if you're into dating, at some point there may be a fully frontal, intimate, bordering on intense connection between you both, and that'll be significant of a good time to really reach out and establish that embrace. Okay. So hopefully this was of importance. Pay attention to the hips when two individuals are hugging, whether it be side to side, front to back, or front to front, or however else you can do it, It goes to show, whether they are or want to be doing the deed, to put it plain and simple. And that's me signing out. Click a like, click subscribe. If you have any comments to be made on this video, please feel free to do so. One love. Goodbye.